Hey guys, welcome back. This is our next episode of The Correct Opinion. My name is Anthony, and as always, I'm here with my brother E-Man from E-Man's Reviews. Today we've got a good show lined up. We got a couple cool topics to talk about. I'm just going to go ahead and dive right in. So there's been a lot of news since the last time we did an episode. I think it helped us want to do this one a little bit sooner than normal. So the first piece of news that I wanted to talk about that really caught my attention was about let's start off with the DCEU, right? Okay. So there's been a lot of speculation online about what's really going to happen in this Flashpoint movie. We've obviously gotten confirmation we're going to see multiple iterations of characters, multiple iterations of the Flash, multiple iterations of Batman. So how far are they going to dive into the potential of this Flashpoint movie with regard to how they're going to impact the DCEU moving forward? Are they going to reboot? Are they going to change things? What's going to happen?
All of that, and as they should. Like I was saying this before. Jesus, I mean, I would literally have to go back. I've been saying this for years that Flashpoint is the best way to fix the DCEU by just rebooting everything. You can literally make whatever you want canon at that point. I mean, this is why they invented it in the comic books. You know, this is how they retcon in the comic books, because somebody plays around with time or the multiverse, and then hey, now we get to pick and choose the characters that are dope and that don't work and leave them out. So yes, all of that stuff is going to happen. This is a great way, in my opinion, for WB to separate themselves and finally correct the ship, right? Like now they can finally be like, no, it's not Snyder, it's not the Snyder fans that control what we do, it's us. And this is the story we're going to tell with these characters that we choose in this direction.
So the question I think that a lot of people have is, how far are they going to go, right? Right now, we've gotten confirmation that we've got a Supergirl, right? We've got a Supergirl that's going to appear in this movie. Right now, we've gotten confirmation that Michael Keaton is going to be in this movie. And then afterwards, he's going to be in a Batgirl movie. So a lot of fans are speculating that moving forward, DCEU is going to shift away from a universe that has male leading figures and transition to one that has purely female leading figures. So just Batgirl, Supergirl or Superwoman, however they identify her, and Wonder Woman moving forward. And now that's the conversation that I'm curious about.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious about it too, because you know, we've seen this before, right? Like we've seen what happens when you try to force diversity into certain projects. And the thing is that when it feels forced, when it feels heavy-handed, it usually gets a negative response in some way, shape, or form, because the stories don't come off as authentic. They come off more so to, we're just playing to the crowd, or we're just, you know, being performative, you know, and saying like, hey, look at what we did, rather than, hey, here's an organic story that makes sense, that flows. Oh, and by the way, it just so happens to be diverse. Like, whatever you can passively bring in diversity, because let's be honest, if there wasn't discrimination, it would be passive, right? Like we wouldn't have to force these things in, and we wouldn't even be having these conversations if discrimination wasn't a thing. So, you know, it's happened in the comics. What was it when and shout out to these stories, because the stories were cool. What was it when Falcon, you know, and Marvel became Captain America, when Jane, you know, became Thor and stuff. Like they forced it so much, there was all these negative reactions, even though some of the stories were actually good. Right. But it was kind of like there was no meat on the bones, and they weren't long lasting either, because they weren't based on anything. They didn't have a strong foundation. So that's my only concern with this new reboot. I've heard these rumors as well. I'm not going to say whether they're true or not, but I will say that they have legs. I will say that there is something behind this idea that Flash is going to go through the multiverse. Him and Michael Keaton, I guess Keaton's Batman's gonna be like
Yeah.
Nick Fury. They're gonna be like, hey, you're the new Batman now, Batgirl. Hey, you're the new Superman, Supergirl. And we just go with that. But I also think that they're going to play to what works. They're not getting rid of Gal Gadot's, Wonder Woman or Aquaman's,
Jason
Jason Momoa. Like,
they're gonna give him some blonde hair, but they're not gonna get rid of him.
They might do whatever, but you gonna keep that. So I think at the very least we'll get that level of mix up. I guess maybe a new Cyborg, because clearly Ray Fisher ain't coming back with Hamada still in place. Man, so
that one still hurts.
I mean,
this reminds me a little bit of another conversation that might ring true, which is it's great that they're introducing a Batgirl. It's great that they're introducing Supergirl. It's great that they're wanting to push these characters to the forefront. Yeah. What is disappointing is it's at the expense of these other characters. 100%. Obviously not Batman, but Superman. Henry Cavill's literally doing a one-man promotion on his social media campaign to try to get back into the role. Like, why is this so, right? Matthew Vaughn is like, hey, I'll do it. Right? I will do it.
I love him.
I do too. But instead, we're getting whatever J.J. Abrams and Michael B. Jordan is putting together as our new Superman.
That's your boy.
And
I mean, they do have two separate Superman projects. Or whatever, I forgot. That is something like JJ has his own Black Superman, and then Michael B. Jordan is doing.
Oh, they're separate.
Yeah,
I thought they were the same.
No, they're two separate properties. So JJ is doing his own version of. That's the one with Ta-Nehisi Coates. It's Ta-Nehisi Coates and JJ Abrams. Ta-Nehisi's writing it. JJ's producing it. He might direct it. That's going to be.
JJ was doing Justice League Dark.
He might. No. He is. His production company, I believe, is doing that. But he might too. I don't know. I don't know how deep it's gonna go. But he is in charge of like the whole Black Superman thing. And that's gonna be Ta-Nehisi Coates. That's probably gonna be I think they said that was gonna be a Clark Kent, but from like another, I think that was like Universe D or something, or Superman D or whatever it is. So it's like a very, very obscure Black Superman.
Yeah.
But then you also have Michael B. Jordan, who's gonna do Val Zod. So his production company is gonna push that one forward. Now, whether these all commingle into what will become the new Justice League or whatever, we don't know. That part we don't know yet. Because those two properties are gonna be separate. They're gonna be standalone movies. But my issue is, again, I don't care. I agree with you about, I don't like introducing new characters at the expense of others. That part I don't like. I think it's disingenuous. It's not cool. Whenever we're talking about, again, diversity and trying to, promote stuff,
but
what do we talk about?
It's also confusing, right? Well, I literally didn't even know there were two different Black Superman projects.
Yeah. No, it all is, but that could all be explained in the multiverse, maybe. So Flashpoint is gonna have some more heavy duty explaining to do. But my thing is like, we always talk about we just want a seat at the table, right? But to get a seat at the table doesn't mean, let me kick you out the table and you take my seat. No, it's like, no, pull up a chair and join the conversation. And the problem that I'm having now with this whole potential of pushing Supergirl and Batgirl is, I don't know if these movies are going to be enough to solidify them. We don't even know if they're going to be popular or not. Like, I would have much rather the Supergirl movie come out first on HBO Max, the Batgirl movie come out first. If it's got good reception, if people like it and they enjoy it, go ahead and invest in them. Build them up. Give people an opportunity and give them the screen time so that way they can, because you're literally throwing new characters, and I say new relative to the ones that we're replacing, by the way.
Yeah.
They're new characters, new actresses. We don't even know if we like them or not yet, but yet you're heavily potentially investing them to be the new face. So that could be a huge gamble.
That is a huge gamble, but that's what they all do. Marvel does it too. They're doing it right now with their universe. They're throwing characters out there to see what sticks. So I don't knock them for doing that. What I do knock is that they're very, very confusing with their approach. I don't know when I'm going to see Harley Quinn again. I don't know if she's in the Suicide Squad or the Birds of Prey or where. And they don't have any further motivation to continue like a shared universe or a chronology. But I think after a while, that's going to catch up with them because audiences are going to be clamoring for some uniformity or at least some overarching narrative.
I agree with you, and I wanted to kind of put this out there. Oh, I'm sorry. A big YouTuber just contacted me and wanted to do something. That's dope.
No disrespect.
No, sorry. Hey, they bigger than me. They're bigger than me, so I'm like, yes. But no, that is true. And look, this is, and I want to put this out there because I haven't said this out loud, but I do want to at least exclusive with this idea. This, if any time was a good time to make this happen with Flashpoint or whatever, this is the time when WB, I'm talking about, you want to cash in, you want to make some money, you want to break the internet, you cast Willem Dafoe as Joker for one time, let him be Robert Pattinson's Batman in his little universe, and you bring that into the multiverse, and it perfectly can line up with Jared Leto's, with Joaquin Phoenix, and Willem Dafoe be that third Joker, and then you introduce that 3 Joker storyline in some way with the multiverse. When I tell you, that will be $1 billion. If we can get what Willem Dafoe just did as Green Goblin as Joker,
I was going to say I would have been happy with a Jack Nicholson cameo because of Michael Keaton, but you kind of got me there.
Willem Dafoe has been like a fan favorite for a long time.
I would say the same with Jack Nicholson.
I mean, he is, but it's kind of like, I don't know if Jack still got it, to be honest. I don't know. I'm just saying because it's been a while. I'm just saying it's been a while. It's been a while.
That's a loaded
Now, I'm not saying I'd be mad. I'm not saying I'd be mad, but if you told me to pick, I'd be like, no, I want to see a Willem Dafoe as Joker because we've seen Jack already. Like, I don't need to re-see it.
Here's where I was going to kind of go with this as well, and then I'm gonna wrap it up with Flash. It's as they continue to do this, right? We've got the Batman, we've got the Supergirls. We're already committed to doing a Flashpoint story. 2 things actually I was going to add. One, this is feeling less and less like a Flash story, right? This is more like a DC Universe story. We're not going to see any of his rogues or any of his villains. None of them. And more important, and it's crazy that how on earth are we putting together a Flashpoint movie? And maybe I missed it. Maybe it just went over my head.
Reverse Flash nowhere.
Where's Reverse Flash? Exactly. Right. So he's the catalyst to the story. I don't see him cast. I'm curious.
Or maybe he was cast and he's just literally a nobody. Like, it's just a random person, a random actor.
That's fine, but I mean, we don't know who's playing the role or the role.
We also haven't gotten a trailer either.
We've gotten a teaser. We've gotten that little teaser. We got to see a lot from that teaser.
Did we?
Yeah, we got to know that there were multiple iterations of the Flash appearing, and we got our first look at Supergirl. I think that was pretty cool. And the Batcave. But yeah, we haven't seen our Reverse Flash, and this doesn't feel like a Flash movie. I guess if for the hardcore Flash fans, if you want to see him doing Flash stuff, you got to go to the Grant Gustin show on CW. But this is, there's no Gorilla Grodd, right? There's no rogues or anything like that. So, is it even a Flash movie, or is this just a Justice League or DC Universe movie? And it feels like Multiverse of Madness, right? Like, or Civil War, Captain America Civil War, where they're shoehorning a greater narrative into an individual story. Nobody can tell me Civil War is a Captain America story.
It's hard. It's an ensemble movie.
Yeah.
It's like Avengers Light.
Anyway, that's all I had about Flashpoint. Anyway, next thing I wanted to talk about with this Morbius movie So
Okay.
this movie was originally scheduled to come out towards the end of January. I haven't seen any press about it since that last little trailer they released a while back. And now
Mhm.
they pushed it all the way out to April 1st, which
Mhm.
is crazy to me. Right now we've got a huge gap between when we're going to get new comic book content. There's a rumor we might get Moon Knight in February, but it's not confirmed. But there's nothing right now until like April, May.
Dead. Yeah.
And I'm shocked that Sony decided to move this movie out. And they're saying it's because they want to give Spider-Man No Way Home more time in theaters, right?
They said that.
That's what they said. They're like, you know what? They need to give this movie more time to breathe because it's doing well. And I think that's crazy considering the amount of hype that is now built up for Morbius because of Spider-Man No Way Home.
Mm.
Right? Because now that
Yeah.
they've
I mean, I totally would have let it keep going. But I mean, I understand that. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, it's not unprecedented. I actually thought that they were delaying it because of the rise in cases with COVID. Like, places are shutting back down. Like, things are going back,
No
restrictions,
Way Home is
mandates.
proof that ain't nobody scared. Ain't nobody scared to come outside.
Listen, all I know is different cities are taking different precautions, and I thought that's
true.
why they pushed it back, just to kind of be like, hey, look, we want maximum capacity, to actually be a thing. But
No, they're saying that this box office is doing good, or at least that's the official reason they're putting out. It could be because of that, but that's what they put out. And I'm gonna be honest and admit, I was a little bit interested in seeing this movie more than I was before, just because of No Way Home, and I wanted to figure out how, because I want to figure out how they're gonna check that box of that Spider-Man poster.
It's not even connected.
They have a Spider-Man poster in the movie. I want to figure out how they're gonna check that box.
I mean, the closest theory that is out there is that all this stuff is happening in Andrew Garfield's universe.
Yeah, but the
that's
poster was the Sam Raimi Spider-Man. Right? So that's where things get. That's why I'm like, Sony.
Was it? I thought it was actually the. I've seen so many versions of it. I thought it was actually the what was it? The Spider-Man from the video game.
So, with this new story that they've stumbled upon of and interest that they stumbled upon with multiversal stories, right? They saw it with the Into the Spider-Verse. Now it worked again with Spider-Man No Way Home. They threw Venom in it a little bit. It seems like that they might find more potential to interconnect things. And I thought that was the real reason they were going to push it back. I thought they were going to try to aim for some reshoots to try to tie in more of those narratives. But it's interesting to me that they pushed this movie back, considering the success of a multiversal story, and that we've already seen that little breadcrumb of a Spider-Man poster.
So here's the thing. Yeah, I do see what you're talking about being in the Sam Raimi. It doesn't make sense if they do. Now, Oscorp does exist in the Venom universe or whatever. Like
it does.
That's I believe. Well, actually, I take that back. I don't think it's actually been established, but it hasn't been unestablished either, right? Like it's not like we've had it confirmed or not. But the thing is, I don't think that the Morbius one makes sense to have the Sam Raimi version in there, because Venom exists there.
Yeah, Venom exists in the Sam Raimi universe.
No. Venom exists in the Morbius one, but Morbius and the Tom Hardy Venom are in the same universe.
How do we know that?
Because he says, "I am Venom."
Yeah, but Venom exists in the Sam Raimi universe.
Yeah, but that Venom was not the same one.
How do we know that? So I hear you, because you're making that connection.
In the third Spider-Man,
yeah,
wasn't Venom like destroyed? Wasn't he like killed?
I don't know, but what's the point? How does that dismiss the idea that other people have heard of Venom? So when you watch No Way Home, I see Sandman. He knew everything, right? He's like, oh, I know about the Green Goblin. Yeah, I've heard of him. Oh yeah,
that was on the Raimi universe,
right? So the idea that Morbius can exist in the Raimi universe and be like, oh yeah, I know who Venom is. He's the guy that fought Spider-Man on top of that building that day, right? That
would he really be going around saying, "I am Venom"?
I didn't think they were going to drop jokes at all, but it could work. So
I think it's a stretch. I think it's a stretch.
It is, and that's why I want to see them check that box, because if no other reason for me
I
to
think it's
see the
just a plot
Morbius
hole.
movie,
I think
for
it's
me
just a
to
plot hole, and they just
maybe it
threw
is.
up a version. They didn't think it was going to be that successful, and they was like, "Oops, our bad. We really meant to put up Andrew Garfield." And by the way, I bet money that's actually a post credit scene. I bet money that that is not something, because Sony is notorious for that. They are notorious for showing in their movies, the ones that
Yeah,
they produce. They are notorious in showing clips of the post credit scene in the trailer.
yeah,
So don't even be surprised if that clip right there gets altered for the real movie and they alter it to a different Spider-Man.
absolutely. Those are the, but that's the only thing I'm saying. Morbius movie didn't have my anticipation before. Right on
That's
the
still
heels
not
of them.
enough for me though, to be honest.
For me,
Like
they've got. I just want to see them check these two boxes. Which Venom is
it's
it?
not
Which
enough.
Spider-Man is it? How's this all working?
It's not enough for me to get excited about. Like I don't really
Period.
care. I don't
I
care. I
can't.
mean, I don't care because this is coming from Sony. This is not coming from Marvel with their production help. This is not tied to
We don't know that.
like no, we do know that.
So we don't know that Marvel's not helping.
Okay.
So here's the thing, right? Marvel obviously has a vested interest in the future of the Sony universe. This is
Sony
now.
has no, they have a vested interest in Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Sony has a vested interest in the Sony Marvel universe because
So
that's the IP they currently own. That's not. It doesn't. Those two things can be separate. They don't have
No,
to
but
be
that's not how
interconnected.
Sony is making the deal, right? No, we've got
What deal?
Venom.
What do you mean?
Venom appeared in Spider-Man No Way Home.
Fan
Right?
service, and then they kicked his ass right back out,
After dropping off his symbiote.
which was
So,
stupid and doesn't make
now-
sense. But whatever.
Yes, it does, because to
It's a
me,
plot hole. I think it's a plot
no,
hole.
I don't think it's a plot hole. To me, that's evidence that Sony is allowing Marvel to use symbiotes, right?
No,
These are
they're
clearly
allowing them to
characters.
use Spider-Man's, like anything within Spider-Man. Sony has to write off on. You know,
so
and I
the
do want
fact
to
that
press
they
you on that,
dropped
by the
off
way.
but the fact that they dropped off his symbiote at the end of the movie and left him in the MCU,
Let me
is
ask you this.
giving them the future potential to use symbiotes in the MCU.
Well,
So
to
yeah,
be
Sony
fair,
is
they've
one of
already, according to Amy Pascal, they've already agreed to have another trilogy happening.
yeah,
with
but
Tom
they've also,
Holland.
but Amy Pascal has also alluded to the fact that they are exchanging characters on the low, right? They'll be like,
Sure.
all right, you can use this character and we can use that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I
And
mean,
they're
that all
not-
makes
and
sense.
But they're not making these conversations anywhere near public. We're finding
No.
out about these rights like years later.
Yeah.
So this goes back to like what I was saying. Like it sounds like, and this is where you can press me on. It seems like because of this new Spider-Man deal with them to continue to make movies, there's going to be some exchange of characters.
Yeah, they
There's-
have to, because Marvel currently
than
has
just Spider-Man.
no. They don't have the rights to Spider-Man.
They don't
And
have to, because Marvel doesn't need to use Spider-Man characters. They built a whole universe and billion-dollar franchises without
They don't-
any of the Spider-Man.
They don't
IP.
have to, but like a lot of the anything related to Spider-Man, they need Sony to write off on.
Yeah. So the idea
like
that
anything, whether
the
it's Peter
idea
Parker,
that they
Aunt May,
left,
Ned,
symbiote
whatever.
piece in the MCU is not just fan service. That is for future plot,
yes,
and
no, I agree
that's
with that.
indicative of a long-term deal to exchange the use of characters. So I think
Or
Marvel,
just the trilogy that they have currently.
Marvel has a vested interest in furthering their end of the bargain and helping Sony with some of their efforts.
Somewhat.
Now, I think that, and this is just a theory, this is all speculative. I don't have any proof of this, but my theory is that Marvel is going to help try to add interconnectivity to the Sony universe in and of itself. Not to the MC universe, but just to better tie the threads between the Sony movies, the Morbius movie, the different Spider-Man IP. I think that they're going to try to help them tidy that up. That's my.
I don't think they will. I don't think they need to. That's
I
the
think
whole point of having different universes.
So
It's
the
going to be,
whole-
and here's the other thing. You have to also think about it from a corporate side. You don't want to look weak in front of shareholders
That
and being
doesn't
like, yo,
matter
we
if you
need this
start
other
bringing in $1 billion.
company to help us.
Nobody
Yeah,
cares if
right.
nobody cares if you look weak.
I
if you
agree
bring in $1
with you
billion.
on that. I agree with you on that. But there's still that corporate side, and you and I both know there's
Yeah.
corporate egos sometimes that spit in the face of common logical sense.
Except for this one IP.
I
So
don't know,
Warner
man.
Brothers is more.
I
prone
think
to doing
somebody
that stuff than
somewhere
Sony.
down the line
Sony
is going to be
follows
like,
the
yo,
money.
we can do this by ourselves. Yeah, we'll let you play with
And they did,
Spider-Man,
and they
but
tried
we're
with the
fully
Amazing
capable
Spider-Man,
too.
and that's always a painful reminder for them as to why they shouldn't
It
be trying
is.
to do this by themselves.
Listen, I agree with you. I'm just saying,
here's
I'm not
something else I'm gonna
doubting
add to
that some corporate bigwig out
Here's
there,
something else I'm going to
Rockman,
add to that.
is going to
Did
say
you
something
know
different.
John Watts directed the Venom post-credit scene?
And it was stupid. That explains why it was a plot hole.
So
John Watts has a lot of plot holes. I don't think people realize this.
Hold on. Think about this for a second. John Watts is,
and he's done with Spider-Man too.
He is, but he is a Marvel corporate man through and through. Even though he's working for Sony,
he's working for
a Marvel
Sony, yeah.
man.
Well, yeah. Now that he's in Fantastic Four, yeah.
He was always a Marvel man, right?
He's like their new little James Gunn.
I would say he's even better than James Gunn because
I'm not talking about quality. I'm just saying in terms of investment.
I mean, even
like
in that,
we're
I'm not talking about
investing in
quality.
you.
I'm just talking about in that he doesn't talk, right? You don't sit here and see him on social media. Like
Barely.
James Gunn has made up his own little following based off of his efforts, but this guy doesn't do that. He's a corporate man through and through.
He comes in, he does his thing, and he goes out. Yeah,
quietly.
Can we talk about the plot hole though?
Can we hold on real quick? So just think about how if Marvel was involved or John Watts was involved with the post-credit scene, imagine, and I could be speculating again, that the whole idea of introducing multiversal knowledge or the symbiote hive mind into the Venom symbiote is purely Marvel's idea. They said, look, you need to tack this on. I know you got your whole Venom 2 movie with Carnage, but hold on. In your post-credit scene, make sure he mentions the multiverse. Make sure he mentions he's got a hive mind. Make sure you drop these threads for the Venom symbiote that's bigger because y'all don't know what y'all doing. And I think that this is going to feed into whatever they do with the Venom character moving forward.
Sure. I'll give them all that. That's fine. Can we talk about why it's a plot hole though?
How's it a plot hole?
Okay, now here's the thing. I'm gonna give them some credit.
Yeah.
Some.
Yeah.
But I'm still gonna press them on this. First of all, the whole point of the spell in Spider-Man No Way Home, and if you're listening and this is a spoiler for you, sorry. Like it's 2 weeks. Like that's the rule. 3 days for TV, 2 weeks for movies. I mean, I'm just saying, if you got 2 paychecks at least, come on now. But my thing is this. The whole point of the reversal of the spell was anybody who knew Peter Parker. First of all, the first point of the spell was anyone who knew Tom Holland's Peter Parker identity was attracted to the MCU.
Anybody who knew Peter Parker was Spider-Man, period.
No, that specific, it has to be clear. That specific one, though. Not any Peter Parker, that Peter Parker. It had to be that one.
That doesn't make sense because if...
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. No, you're right.
It's any
Peter
Parker.
No, you're right. It was all Peter Parkers because they all were confused. So, no, I'm sorry. You're right. So, anybody that knew Peter Parker would come. Okay. So, that's the one reason why Venom counted because of the Venom in Spider-Man 3. He knew who Spider-Man really was. Yeah. Okay. Now you have the whole hive mind thing. Whatever. Fine. Yeah. You bring Venom in there. I guess that somewhat makes sense. But the reversal spell was anybody that knew Peter Parker's identity had to go. Yeah. Right? Anyone. They forgot and they had to leave. They go back because they forget. Why would Venom leave a piece of himself back? Because it isn't like every being of Venom alive. Don't they all share hive knowledge?
So that's where I was going to kind of go with that because I have my own theory.
Because to me, I'm like, every ounce of him should teleport back.
No. But here's the thing. I have my own theory that wasn't a piece of Venom. I think it gave birth.
I think it did too. And that's the part where I kind of want to give them some credit. But I wonder, even if you were to say he gave birth, and I know this is going to get super technical, are you saying that when he gives birth or when they spawn, that those things are not inorganic, but like not sentient? Are they not sentient the moment they're spawned?
They are, but they're also infantile.
If
So
they are,
they
it
grow.
doesn't matter. No, it doesn't matter. If they are spawned with
Yeah.
sentience and they share a collective hive mind, then that thing, the moment it's spawned off, should automatically
No,
still know
no.
who
So
Peter Parker was.
here's where they're gonna say is the loophole. Because he gave birth in the MCU, that symbiote is native to the MCU.
Right.
He's not from the other
Yeah.
universe. So
Yeah.
when
He's
you
an
erase
anchor
the
baby
knowledge,
now.
when you erase the knowledge of Peter Parker, yeah, the parent went home, but he never knew who Peter Parker
He's
was.
an anchor baby.
And he
Yeah.
stayed in his home universe,
I
which
get
is
it.
now the MCU. So
I mean, that part I get, but I'm like, that's not it seems okay. So then I guess at the end of the day, and I still think it's stupid. I just think it's
you
dumb.
know, they had to
But
find a way to introduce
They
some-
had to, but
MCU.
literally they could have done it so many different ways. They could have
I
they
would've-
could have just given them the same origin story, honestly.
I would have been happy if they would have went with the synthetic symbiote story that they used in the Ultimate Comics, where it was just a creation of Richard Parker.
Oh, yeah, fine. Whatever. Like, yeah, I guess you could do that too. But my thing is like, you know, it just felt so forced. And I mean, you're going to have to explain. I don't even know if they want to explain it. But I guess the symbiote is still going to at least know what a Spider-Man is. Might not know it's Peter Parker
Whatever.
yet, but
We'll
they'll know I need to get to this thing called Spider-Man because I like Spider-Mans. I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe.
I don't-
Maybe. We'll see. We'll see. They got a lot of potential moving
I
forward.
guess. All right.
Sony is a funny company. They're an interesting
They
company.
They are some.
It's hard for me to understand what their expectations or what their plans are. So this is bringing me to my next topic, right? And this one might be quick. Tom Holland has been the lead of the Spider-Man franchise for 3 movies now. Those movies have made in excess of $2 billion, right? Tom Holland has been given a few other opportunities to be a leading man in movies, and he's getting what's possibly his biggest chance yet with the new Uncharted movie to try to lead a film, it be carried by a franchise IP name, and to really see if he's going to have that box office draw that he has with the Spider-Man films. So what should Sony's expectations be for Tom Holland, or what should our expectations be for Tom Holland moving forward, especially when he's away from Spider-Man? Especially or with this Uncharted movie, right? He even has Mark Wahlberg in the cast, who's a draw, right? Mark Wahlberg still is a draw.
Is he?
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, Mark Wahlberg is always, you know, even if I don't see every movie that he's in, I will tell you if I hear he's in a movie, I will consider it. I will look at the trailer.
Facts. Facts. No, that's true. I mean, Mark Wahlberg is always been hit or miss. Like he will make a hit and then he'll miss the very next movie. Then he'll make a hit after that. Then he'll miss again. Expectations are zero. Like I have zero expectations for Tom Holland because so far Tom Holland has not proven to be a box office draw. He's just not. I mean, he's been in a lot of movies. Some that went straight to streaming, some that were in theaters, and nobody cares. I'm just saying, nobody cares.
That Chaos movie with him.
Chaos movie, did nobody watch that? I haven't
Did you see
heard.
it?
I did not. I heard very little noise about it, and I was just like, well, guess that wasn't that good. Lost City of Z or whatever, like that was
with him and was Charlie Hunnam, I think.
Hunnam, you know, like that didn't really go very well. Cherry apparently bombed.
Man,
He had that other movie on Netflix, something with some priest or whatever. That I mean, I watched that one.
Oh, with him and Adam Driver.
Yeah. No, it wasn't Adam Driver. It was somebody
I think
else.
it was Adam Driver.
I don't think it was him. I don't know. Whatever it was, I watched that one. Didn't go very far. I mean, here's the thing. I'm not saying he's not talented. I'm just saying that like Spider-Man is his thing. It's kind of, I'm not saying it's the same. It's kind of the Game of Thrones effect where like everybody's really hyped about Jon Snow and Sansa and all the characters in Game of Thrones, but the second they step outside that property, ain't nobody checking for them. Right. You know, like they're not that good. They don't carry that gravitas unless they were well established before Game of Thrones, right? I think Pedro Pascal, maybe Peter Dinklage, though Lena Headey, they can kind of survive outside of Game of Thrones, but like the new cats, not so much.
Pedro Pascal, I didn't know who he was.
I didn't either. I'm just saying, like, it's not for everybody, but the people that really got known.
The reason those people were really known is because they could really, really act. Like they're not like, they're above average. Like Peter Dinklage, Lena Headey, they're above average actors. Same for Pedro Pascal.
Fact.
I think the thing that lowers my expectations with Tom Holland is I don't think he has that range. You know, when you step away from Spider-Man, every time I see him in a film, I always notice this, and it's something with me with British actors. They struggle with coming up with more than one American accent.
I can see that. Yeah, it's not easy for them. It's not easy.
Yeah. So Tom Holland is one of those guys where he only has one
generic American accent.
Right. So when I'm watching the Uncharted trailer, I'm like, that's Peter Parker. Right. He sounds like Peter Parker.
He looks like Peter Parker the whole time. Yeah.
It could be it's a little bit of his baby face, but you know,
I think a lot of it is that like he can't transform. Like right now he can't. Even when he goes to play, because he's supposed to play Fred Astaire in like a new upcoming movie. It's just gonna be him in the top hat and the tux. You know what I'm saying? Like it's now to his credit, he does actually look like a young Fred Astaire, you know, but at the end of the day, it's just gonna be Tom Holland dancing around, you know, like look, he's not box office. Unless he's Spider-Man, he's not box office like that. He needs the help of the property. Instead of the other way around, he doesn't go into something and be like, yo, I have that rock effect where I can blow this up.
He's in that area for me of like sophomores. He's like a sophomore in acting. Him, Timothy Chalamet, and
I
a
think
few
Timothy's
others.
way better than him.
No, I do.
Like acting range wise.
So I think Timothy is really good too, but I think that they still need to get that resume of work to prove their range. Timothy is
I wouldn't even put Timothy Chalamet and Tom Holland in the same category at all. I get what you're saying in terms of like age or experience wise, but like acting ability, they're not in the same league.
So the only reason I'm putting Timothy and Tom in the same league is because they don't have that body of work yet to differentiate them. They have the potential. They're at their early stages. They remind me of like Leonardo DiCaprio, like right after Titanic. Like, all right, you can do something.
I still wouldn't. I don't feel comfortable with this comparison because Timothy can go do Dune and then Call Me by Your Name, and what was that other one? It was the one with Steve Carell, something My Boy, My Beautiful Boy, or something like that. Like Timothy Chalamet is not on.
I've seen Timothy in a couple movies. So far, I haven't seen the range. I've seen him do great performances. I haven't seen him do range. Unfortunately, I'm still trying to watch.
And he's still gonna do Willy Wonka. He still has that coming up. I will say that and that might be more so because of the roles that he takes on, but I see way more acting potential and depth in his capability than I would.
I'm still trying to wash my stench of Don't Look Up from my mind.
I like Don't Look Up.
So Timothy,
talk about it.
Timothy is gotten potential. He has a lot of potential. How about this? I'll say at his career right now, he's like a young Leo DiCaprio. He's got a lot of potential.
He's got that potential. I don't know if he'll ever touch Leo, but he has the potential to be.
It's gonna all.
He needs better role selection.
It's all going to depend on his role selection. So we'll see where he goes from there. But he's not proven to me. and neither is Tom Holland.
Tom Holland is even further away from that. As an actor, he's further away.
So,
and it does suck that, he's so successful as Spider-Man. It overshadows what he might be able to be capable of in other roles. Like, he's going to have to find a role where, I don't know, he's just going to have to put some facial hair on. Like,
he's going to have
to look different.
No,
he needs something that
Daniel
pushes him.
Radcliffe. He's stuck. There's nothing you can do. You get no amount of facial hair, no amount of aging.
Damn.
Nothing you can do.
That's actually a better comparison. Because Daniel Radcliffe is kind of, AKA Harry Potter.
Actor. Yeah,
it's hard to not see him as Harry Potter.
Yeah,
it's hard. I mean, I tried.
11 years since the last Harry Potter, and
you know what he needed to do? He needed to take a break. Like both of them, they have to step away for like a couple years, and the closest that they can get would be Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
The only person stepping away worked for is Orlando Bloom, and even he is going to have to prove himself.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt, he did it.
When did he step away?
Well, after Third Rock from the Moon or whatever, like, or
that's
from
when
the
he
sun.
That's when he started doing movies. That's when he got big.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, people stopped looking at him as just that kid from the TV show because he took some time off, and then when he came into acting, it was kind of like, oh, look at him. He's actually good.
I mean, we could say the same thing for Bryan Cranston, any of those guys. But my thing is, they need a lot of work to prove themselves.
I agree.
Possible for this guy. Anyway, I only had one last topic, and this one I didn't prep you for.
Oh boy.
So it's going to be a loaded question for you.
I don't like the loaded questions.
So you remember when Black Panther came out or was starting to do its promotional run for release, and there was the Marvel campaign, right? And then there was like the Black Twitter campaign. So like Marvel was like, all right, we're going to put out some trailers. We're going to do the normal marketing routine. And then Black Twitter was like, we're going to put on dashikis. I'm bringing chitlins. We're bringing candy in. This is a
right.
And then Black Panther turned out to break all sorts of box office records. And I would give more credit to Black Twitter than to what Marvel did.
We made it an event.
So with that said, Black Panther 2 is coming out this year.
Mm-hmm.
I have a real question. Is Black Panther, is Wakanda Forever anticipated? Like, is this a movie we're looking for? Should we expect box office numbers like the first movie for a Black Panther 2? Is this
yes, no, yes. No, yes. I mean, look, is it anticipated? Yes. A lot of people are anticipating it. Fandango did a huge poll, and it was like the number one thing that was anticipated, right? And that's great. Why it's anticipated, I think, is what the real question is. It's not that it is anticipated, it's why. Personally, it's not my highest. It's not even on my top 10 of most anticipated movies, but hashtag recast T'Challa. But the why is probably the most interesting thing. And I did my own poll through a third party entity, just so there was no bias involved. And in that poll, over 2,000 people weighed in. Actually, it was over like 2,500. And the reason why they were excited, we asked a couple questions. Was it exploring more Wakanda, Shuri, or somebody else taking the mantle? Was it Namor, or was it how are you going to deal with T'Challa, Chadwick Boseman? Like, what are you going to do? Mm-hmm. And the most interesting thing about this was the least interesting thing that people were interested in was exactly what Marvel wants to push. Marvel wanted to push exploring Wakanda. That was the least on everyone's list. Marvel wants to elevate, Shuri as the next Black Panther. That was second to last on the list. There was anticipation for Namor or whatever, but number one thing people were wanting to see is how are y'all about to navigate this movie without the lead actor, what are you going to do to tribute to Chadwick? And what are you going to do? That's what they want to see. So when you ask, is this like anticipated? I ask like, well, is like what it is, but like for what? And I don't think it's for the same reasons. Like, I don't think that you're going to get the same box office that you got last time. Last time we got 1.3 billion. A lot of that was due to repeat viewings. People buying out theaters,
absolutely.
people bringing their grandma, people buying out stuff like me. I bought out a theater. I don't know if you're going to get that same sentiment, especially since right now you still have a growing sentiment of people that are like, yo, whatever you do, don't go killing this character. Because like, why would you rush to the theater to go see something traumatic like that? Why do you want to go? Because Black Panther, the first movie, was more of a celebration. It was a dope conversation. It was a really cool phenomenon. Now it's like, let's hurt, so I would say the Black Panther, the first movie, was a good coming out party, right? It was like, yo, homecoming, y'all, we in here. This one is like a funeral. Like, do you want to rush to a funeral? Do you want to stay for the party favors for a funeral? Do you want to linger for a funeral? Like, you know what I'm saying? It's not the same feeling. So I think some people are going to force it. Don't get me wrong. Some people are going to be like, yo, we're going to do it because we want to have a tradition, but I don't think you're going to get the same level of participation. And that is the only reason I think that the box office numbers might not be the same. I don't see it breaking those pre-sale records that it did before. And even if it does, because there's always initial hype, I don't know if it can beat the second movie. You'll get a good amount. I think it'll make 800 million. 800? I think it'll hit that, but I don't know, man. I don't know.
I fall in this category of people that's just waiting and seeing, because it's so many.
I don't think you're alone in that. I think a lot of people are kind of like, let me wait. Let me see what the initial hype is. Let me see what the reviews say.
Yeah.
And then maybe I'll just wait for it to stream and I'll support it that way. Because let's be completely honest here. And I know this, we kind of talked about this too. When has it ever been a recipe of success to take a blockbuster billion-dollar movie and follow it up with the supporting cast without the lead character? Like, when is that ever proven to be a successful way to follow up as a sequel?
I mean, that's a question for the audience.
I'm throwing it out there. Let me know, audience. When was the last time you were super excited to watch a billion-dollar movie and it did not have the lead character and only the supporting cast was going to be there? So let me give you a practical example. It's 2008. Iron Man, Tony Stark blew us all away, but Iron Man 2 is only going to be War Machine. Are you just as excited to go watch that with no Tony Stark?
All of the Disney Plus shows.
Yes.
Like, all of those shows are shows without the lead character.
No. Those are shows. I'm talking about getting up, paying top dollar, buying out a theater, going back, watching multiple times. That's what I'm talking about. I fully agree.
The closest one we're going to get is Captain America 4. That's going to be the test.
For what?
Continuing a billion-dollar franchise with a supporting character, because Civil War made $1 billion, right?
Yeah, with an ensemble, and I believe you're going to have the same thing there. I don't think you can take. I don't care if Anthony Mackie is like Captain America. Anthony Mackie is not box office. I don't even care if you're Marvel. You're going to have to add things around him to make it compelling. You're gonna have to add Winter Soldier. 110%. You're gonna have to add Yelena Belova or something.
I only have one hope for Captain America 4, and that's that in the end credit scene, whatever happens between Anthony Mackie and whomever he's fighting, in the end credit scene, we see Chris Evans on a helicarrier, look at the camera and say, "Hail Hydra." That's all I want.
First of all, that'd be amazing, right? That'd be amazing if, like, thanks to the multiverse of madness, this is what we end up getting.
Or we get a cosmic
that would be
cube.
dope.
I'll be cool with a cosmic cube.
I'm fine with that, but
like they could be setting up a sentient cosmic cube story, and that would be fine.
Sure. I mean, I don't know. I think that if that happens, like I've said this too, he's gonna need an ensemble. He's gonna need a huge because Falcon and Winter Soldier was not like one of the best things on Disney Plus for the Marvel shows. I mean, it was interesting, it was cool, but it wasn't
have to be an ensemble movie. For all we know, Captain America 4 is going to be our Young Avengers movie. I'm hoping that's it. Let him lead them, whatever.
To throw Shang-Chi in there, I don't know. You're gonna have to throw some things in there that distract you from Captain America, but at the same time, it's his story. But even then,
if not Wakanda Forever, right? And I understand why it will be Doctor Strange too, but beyond that, are there any Marvel movies that are anticipated at this point?
Thor 4, Love and Thunder.
Yeah,
I think that Doctor Strange, for me, Doctor Strange is the most anticipated. I want to see does Sam Raimi still have it? Because Sam Raimi, you're talking about somebody that made one of the greatest Spider-Man movies, comic book movies out there, and Spider-Man 2. Legendary for his Evil Dead series and
stuff. Did you see that movie he did with James Franco? That movie where it was like The Wizard of Oz. I think it was called Oz.
It was okay.
That was alright. Sam Raimi's.
Yeah, it was alright.
Film.
It was alright, but I want to see how he does with these superhero movies. I think that's more of his bread and butter. Granted, Spider-Man 3 tanked terribly, but I think that was for other reasons.
Spider-Man 3 had a terrible story, but I still think, for what it's worth, it had good direction.
It tried. I think production overall failed that movie. Of course, Raimi's going to get some blame, but he's had bigger hits than fails, in my opinion. So I'm super excited to see what he has to bring in Doctor Strange. But yeah, we do have Thor coming up. Wakanda's just going to be interesting, man. Like I think a lot of it is also going to depend on the trailer, because when you were talking about all that hype and stuff, the trailer got me excited. That was like one of the rare first trailer reactions I had ever done, and that thing got me pumped. The music, the cuts, the edits, like everything was like, I can't wait for this. So they're going to have to that's going to be Marvel's biggest test. How are you going to market Wakanda Forever? Are you going to market the fact that you're killing off T'Challa? Are you going to market only the action and just show that? And even if you do that, sometimes that's risky, because when you over market the action and the best scenes, when you get to the movie, people are like, "Oh, you don't have nothing else to offer."
They're gonna continue to do the JJ thing, right? They're gonna do this JJ thing. They're gonna do the mystery box, right? They're gonna keep the secret because that's a huge part of their recipe for success.
That'd be smart. That would be smart if they did that. I hope they do that.
Point that they withhold from the audience.
I hope so. I hope they, man, listen. I need to wait for the trailer. I can't say I'm excited for it. I mean, I'm still gonna watch it. I'm still gonna give it a shot. But
you doing watch parties for this? This is where I'm like, man, am I that excited?
That's the part I don't know. I don't know if I can do a watch party for Black Panther. I don't know. I mean, I kind of want to do it for the sake of the kids, but at the same time, I'm like, but if y'all out here killing T'Challa and stuff, like, I don't want to sit there as little kids that looked up to him are crying on like, I don't want to expose them to that.
It's gonna be rough.
It's gonna be rough one way. I don't know. Listen, I don't know. Marvel has a lot of options, and my thing is, I fully reject this idea that on one hand we saying Ryan Coogler is so great and creative, Marvel really knows what they're doing, and we limit them and say the only thing they can do is kill off T'Challa. Like so they're not that creative then. Which one is it?
Ad nauseum about Marvel's treatment of this character. versus
Nah,
their
you haven't.
others.
Speak
Yes,
your
I
mind.
have.
Say it again.
Well, we talked about
Because
this.
we just talked about. Ooh.
We talked about this on the last episode. We talked about this
So
again
pissed.
earlier today.
Getting me pissed
Right.
again.
Yeah.
This disrespect.
This is a reminder that John Watts is the only director in MCU history to complete a trilogy of films with the same franchise.
Wow.
The Russos are the closest because they did 2 Captain America movies and 2 Avengers movies.
And they're
So
rumored to come back for Secret Wars.
but they haven't done a trilogy. Just John Watts.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, James Gunn is about to.
I know, but just
I mean,
that
to
sink
date,
in for a
to
while,
date.
right? Because
Yeah,
it's
to
been. When did Guardians of the Galaxy come out?
2014.
It's been almost a decade.
He also got fired too.
Still.
I think if he hadn't gotten fired, we would have gotten something.
The speed in which we're getting these movies is incredible. And you know, we used to sit here and wonder, all right, you know, like some franchises, some companies, they sit there and they watch the box office and they're like, all right, this worked. We need to make another one of these.
Yeah.
All right. If you look back at some other studios, they're like, all right, Batman Begins work. We need to get a Dark Knight. Dark Knight work. We need to get a Dark Knight Rises. Marvel has like a really confusing approach to the way they handle Black Panther because, you know, the way that Black Panther did such business, the way that Doctor Strange did such business, the way that some of these other characters did such business, you would think we would get some of these films sooner. And instead, we've gotten a trilogy of Spider-Man movies. A trilogy of Spider-Man movies. Can you believe that we'll have a third Ant-Man movie soon?
Ridiculous.
Like,
Ridiculous. It's literally a slap in the face. It is a slap in the face of like, hey, we came through, we did all this, and this is what you're doing already.
I mean, like.
Now, in fairness, I will say this. In fairness, Ant-Man did come out first. Like, Ant-Man had, the first Ant-Man was 2015. Yeah. And then the second Ant-Man was 2018.
Okay.
So, in fairness, they did kind of have a head start.
Why are we getting a third Ant-Man movie, though?
Because they have to talk about the multiverse.
You know, when they want to, they'll take these concepts and characters and just put them in other stuff.
Sure.
Why are we getting a third Ant-Man movie before we get...
Here's my thing. Here's my thing. Black Panther 2 should have been the very first movie in Phase 4. It should have been the very first one. Like, after... clearly Black Panther happened 2018, right? You saw what was going down. You saw how... 2018, that's when it came out, February 2018. You saw what was going down, and keep in mind, right in February, Infinity War was right after that. It was coming up close. I mean, you're talking about February to April or May. No, it came out in May. You know, for
I thought Captain
Infinity
Marvel
War
came out before.
No. It was Black Panther, Infinity War, Ant-Man, Captain Marvel, then Endgame.
Yeah.
And then Spider-Man Far From Home. During that sweep, that was like a good at least year that you saw, oh my God, this stuff is going crazy. Black Panther done made 1.3 billion. During that time frame, y'all should have been shooting Black Panther 2. You should have been shooting it. Instead, they were working on Black Widow, and then they started working on Shang-Chi. They should have had Black Panther already in production back in 2019.
It's
right then and there. The moment y'all was done with Endgame, y'all because they shot Infinity War and Endgame back to back. The moment y'all were done with that, all Wakandans hit the set. We going right now.
It's crazy to me, the effort.
And that should have been in Phase 4.
And Marvel put into Spider-Man versus Black Panther.
No. I don't doubt that the Spider-Man, I'm not mad at that because Spider-Man is still a more recognizable property.
Yeah, but here's the thing though. They don't get all of the box office for Spider-Man. They don't get all of the merchandising for Spider-Man.
No, you're right. You're right.
Black Panther.
No, they do get all the merchandise. They get the merchandise.
They didn't. Whatever.
No, they always got the merchandise.
Black Panther, to this date, as of today,
still more money,
and it has made more money than Spider-Man No Way Home.
Facts.
And they haven't fast-tracked it to the same effort that they have the Spider-Man films. That to me,
you could have saved
considering
Black
that they
Widow.
make all the box office.
Here's the thing,
all of it.
You could have saved Black Widow. Black Widow literally could have happened. Thanks to the pandemic, we realized it didn't matter when it would have released. It never was going to make a dent in the MCU, like
Not
at all.
At this point, it should have happened during Phase 2.
It should have happened
when it was
right
like
after
when
Civil
Robert
War.
Downey Jr. No, I would have said before.
No, that's when the time.
I would have said
was.
after Iron Man 2, we should have had a Black Widow movie.
We could have had a Black Widow movie, but that Black Widow movie should have just followed up Civil War. Period.
Mhm.
Like just time wise. But then they were investing in Shang-Chi and Eternals. All three of them movies. If you were to tell me, yo, we can postpone them, we can wait on them, it would have been fine. Black Panther 2 should have happened right after Far From Home. Nobody would have cared about Black Widow. There were no expectations with Shang-Chi, so you definitely could have waited. And Eternals, you totally could have waited, because even to this date, Eternals does not matter. Not yet.
I would have came out during the pandemic for Black Panther 2 when I
would have came out in a whole hazmat suit. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? We all would have came out for that. All of us. Here's the thing.
It's not.
I would have been happy that they at least shot it. Back then, so that way, even if it was postponed, I'd be like, yo, I'll just wear my dashiki until y'all got it ready. Just whenever. At least I know it's shot. And it would still be the most anticipated movie, especially if Chadwick passed and the movie shot and they just holding it.
I don't like Marvel's approach to these.
I don't like this.
Not a fan of it.
Because it always bothered me that while they were shooting Civil War, they threw Black Panther in there as a toss-in, as an add-in. They didn't throw him in there as if like,
and even then,
he's going to be like the next Tony Stark.
They were way more excited about Spider-Man.
They were way more excited for him. And that's the other thing I hated. I was like, yo, I personally was blowing my mind that Black Panther got added, but then y'all threw Spider-Man in, and it made him almost second fiddle.
Yo,
it killed all the hype for Black Panther.
I could talk to my face is blue about their non-support or their lack of their interest not matching my interest for Black Panther. I can talk ad nauseum about it. I could talk about how they've treated the character historically in the comics. We've talked about it. I could talk about how they're ignoring even the billion-dollar box office and are emphasizing all these other characters that don't do the same. Thor hasn't made $1 billion at the box office. Ant-Man hasn't made $1 billion.
Nope.
And Spider-Man.
What about Ragnarok? Did Ragnarok? What did that?
No, it made like 800 million. It got close, but this is No Way Home is the first Spider-Man movie to cross $1 billion. Yeah, the potential,
which is wild, because I would have thought Spider-Man could hit $1 billion, but
I think Spider-Man 3 was the most profitable one. It was like 890 million. It was really
that sounds
close.
about right.
And if you account for inflation, it's exceeded the value. But their regard for these characters, the treatment of the Black Panther character specifically, the way they're willing to throw away all of his plot lines and storylines and then just pass them on to other characters. Namor not battling T'Challa is painful.
I know. It's such a waste.
T'Challa not meeting the Fantastic Four is
or Storm
or Doctor Doom or any of these, villains.
And let me tell you, I have a legitimate concern that Marvel is going to continue what you're talking about in terms of placating to the audience. I think they're just going to
never meet Nick Fury.
I think they're just going to toss us They're just gonna toss us Star-Lord T'Challa and be like, "Hey, y'all liked him, right? All right, cool. He exists, and that's it." Like,
You
I
know,
don't think you're going to get the
it's whatever.
Solo movie. I don't think y'all about to get him. I think you're gonna get him as a supporting character. That's it.
I don't like their treatment of the character. It's definitely drained a lot of my interest for Phase 4 and 5. I don't have any same type of excitement for Mahershala and his Blade character.
Really? Oh, I'm down for that.
I mean,
I just want to see what they do with it.
So I am interested in to see what they do with the character, but Blade was announced when?
Last year, 2019. I want to say 2019, 2020.
When is it releasing?
Sometime after 2023.
So, they announced it a year or two ago, and we're still a year or two away from release.
Which is actually their pattern. They usually announce the
Spider-Man.
actors. They will announce the actors 2 years before.
Unless it's Spider-Man, right? Or unless it's something like Ant-Man or these other.
Yeah.
These movies come out quicker than Blade or a Black Panther sequel.
So right now the Phase 4 is or the upcoming ones for Phase 4. We have Doctor Strange, then we have Thor 4, Wakanda Forever.
Yeah.
Then in 2023 you have the Marvels, Galaxy of the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I think they're gonna do some Christmas special thing, and
That's
then
this year.
that's this year. Okay. Then Ant-Man 3 is gonna happen in 2023, and then Fantastic Four, and then Blade, and then maybe Deadpool.
Fantastic Four was announced after Blade.
I thought it was the same time. It was like in the same press conference.
I'm pretty sure it was released like separate. It was like, hey, John Watts is going to do Fantastic Four, and it was separate.
No, I think they announced everything in the same press conference. If I'm not mistaken. Because that was the same one that they were like. That was the same press conference where they were like, "Oh, by the way, mutants are coming."
I think I made my point. Well, we've seen mutants, but I think I've made my point about how these characters are treated. We've seen the closest that we're going to get to mutants right now, or the first one was Shriek, right, and Venom 2.
That don't count.
And then we're getting Namor.
He's not. He may or may not be a mutant.
Well, he's a mutant in the comics, so we'll see. Anyway, that's all I had. But any other topics you want to chat about real quick? We didn't talk about Betty White last time, but God
rest in peace, Betty White. Nothing that comes to mind.
All right. Well,
unless you want to talk about Michael Keaton, where he turned down the role of Batman Forever.
Yeah, a little bonus chat. Let's see. Michael Keaton. He did some. Michael Keaton has always been a favorite of mine because
I like him.
I like as a kid, I always loved Batman Returns. I like the second one more than I like the first one. But I always loved Batman Returns, and I always loved that whenever you ask this guy about Batman, he would just like immediately start grinning and going to character.
Yeah.
I am Bat. Like he's been carrying this for 30 years.
Yeah.
And he's talking.
Can we acknowledge that Batman Forever is in the same continuity as the Keaton Batman? Like
they all are.
He got recast.
Yeah, no, they all are. Even the George Clooney one, it's all the same continuity.
So some people don't realize that is actually the same Batman, and they're like, Batman's never been recast. It's in a different franchise. No. He has been recast. It was Keaton. He got replaced with Kilmer, and then with Clooney. So it's all been the same. But Keaton is definitely he's the GOAT for me. That's the best Batman I've had.
He's my favorite Batman.
But that's the one I grew up with too. So
I'm always gonna have good regard for Adam West for being his little
shout out to Adam West. Yeah.
But Keaton and then Kevin Conroy, they're my iconic Batman.
GOATs. Come on, man.
Because like the cartoon is like a pseudo sequel to the
100%.
to the Tim Burton movies as well.
100%. Yeah.
But Michael Keaton has always loved talking about his time as Batman. He's always
Mm-hmm.
been somewhat open, it sounded like, to return into the role. So now, in anticipation for his return to the role, he's doing this little pseudo promotion for it. Now he's talking about his time as the character again in Batman Forever specifically.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And now he's actually adding a little bit more into why he didn't do the third one when Tim Burton exited. And it was like, he didn't like the direction they were going with the character. He's like, it's not dark enough.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that makes sense a little bit, right? Because I'll be honest, my memory of Batman Forever is a little hazy. I do remember the thing about, Chris O'Donnell as Robin. I remember Two-Face. I remember Jim Carrey as the Riddler.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought, and that could just be me having my bad memory, I thought that Batman was still pretty dark. Like, he was a weirdly dark character. It was the only time I actually saw Batman, like, creeping out in girls' windows. And then, like,
I'm struggling to remember them now, to be honest with you. Like, outside of
like
Batman and Batman Returns.
Like, Batman and Batman Returns, he was just straight up killing people, right?
Yeah.
He was just strapping bombs to
Like,
people's
he blew
chests.
people up.
Yeah, he was like,
Like, and I had no problem with it. I was just like, yeah. Like,
that's what Batman does this episode.
Like, I remember 5-year-old me is just like, yeah, kill him, Batman.
Right. Rewind. Did he die?
Yeah.
He didn't make it.
That's what it was on. But like, no, the thing that Keaton was talking about though in his interview, I thought was so important because he was just like, he disagreed with Joel Schumacher, right? So like after Burton kind of like stepped down, Schumacher stepped in, and Schumacher was just like, I don't get it. Like, why Batman got to be so dark? And Michael Keaton was like, have you read this comics? Like,
well, that was.
It's like saying like, why does Batman brood? Like, that's
some of
damn near his second superpower.
Warner Brothers was pushing for the film to invest more in the toys that they were going to sell.
Yeah, Schumacher did, and he apologized for that, by the way. Yeah. Schumacher did apologize because he was like, "Yeah, I screwed that up."
Yeah, I mean,
but yeah, no, you're right. I forget what documentary that was.
Surprise! Warner Brothers
talked about that,
or had a say into a popular property and sent things off the rail.
Yep. Yep. Who would have thunk it?
Right? Sony did it with Spider-Man 3, and it happens. But he's talking about it, and I'm just saying, like, Batman Forever seemed pretty freaking dark. Like, the bad guys still got killed in the end, right? Two-Face died, right? The Riddler, his brain almost exploded. Like, it was pretty.
It was still quirky.
Yeah, it was
dark, but it was still too quirky to.
I mean, you got to remember the last one had an army of penguins with rocket strapped to their back. So as far as quirkiness,
I mean, personally, I have never, and I still to this day, I don't care if Colin Farrell does an amazing job. I will never care about the character of Penguin. The Penguin character is the most boring, stupidest character I've ever seen in Batman. It's just
bit into that dude's nose like it was an apple.
Now that was interesting, right? Danny DeVito, I loved his portrayal of him. I'm just saying the character in general, whether it's comics, whether it's cartoons, whatever. The character is dumb to me, because I'm like, yo, it's a little short dude that waddles. Why is this dude with an umbrella? Why is he a threat, like, at all to Batman? Who's like a martial artist and a gymnast, escapist, and all this other stuff. Like, why is this waddling dude a problem for you? No, the Riddler, I get it. Two-Face, I understand. Like,
that's all it was. It's just like a gangster who, in the movie, they did it pretty good because they had him become a politician.
See, that aspect I like.
Operates. And that's the character's development, not just in the Batman animated series, but in the cartoon. He's never really a real threat for Batman. Yeah. He's more like somebody who's out there who's towing the line between. Yeah, he's an influencer. So he's never the main villain. At least not since I've been reading the comic.
which is good. Because to
Not,
me, I'm like, this isn't a situation like that kind of stuff works if you're Superman, right? Like Superman can deal with someone like Lex Luthor because Luthor, he's powerful, he's connected, he's just a man, right? Like you can't go punching him, like, and Superman has morals. Batman don't care. Batman will punch you and tell you, like, punch you dead in the throat and say, now talk. Like that is Batman. So to me, it's kind of like, I don't know, it's just not a good fit. I like him going against people like Raja Ghul, right? Somebody who's like, yo, not only can I go with you toe to toe, hand to hand combat, but I can do the same with you intellectually. By the way, I already pre-planned, like I use prep time the way you use prep time.
mhm.
Those are the type of enemies that I want to see. Like Bane. Hey, not only am I super strong to you, but I've used prep time to defeat you too.
I'm
Give me
curious to
things
see
like
who's
that.
gonna be the villain in Batgirl. I'm really curious.
They did announce who it was, and I forgot it. Um, Firefly or something like that.
Yeah, Brendan Fraser's gonna be Firefly. I thought he was gonna
Yeah,
be like one of the villains. I
one
didn't know he
I
wasn't gonna
guess.
be the main. He might be. I don't know.
I don't know. This is just one of the reasons why I'm like, y'all need to let this movie happen before you start initiating people as like the lead, whatever. Like, Batgirl might not be good. Some people might not care for her portrayal. I mean, they might, but they might not either. Like, just wait and see before
I
y'all
mean, that's what
go
they're doing.
investing.
They're following the same formula as Marvel. They're throwing stuff out there and seeing what sticks.
But they're not seeing what sticks because supposedly Flashpoint is going to initiate them,
Yeah, but
and
I
that's it.
mean, they
Now, if
they
that
put
was
out
still on
back
the table,
Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey. They're putting out Batgirl. They put out Shazam. They're putting out Flashpoint, which is gonna even give them more opportunity to throw out more stuff to see what sticks. No, man,
I'm
they're
excited for
following.
Shazam. I think
This is
Shazam
like
would be good.
DCEU Phase 3, and it's in a slow transition into whatever they're doing in Phase 4.
Right.
Anyway,
Yeah, so we'll see.
that's all I have for this one. Michael Keaton and Batman Forever stuff. Hopefully they'll sneak in a Jack Nicholson cameo. That'll make me happy. But
Sure.
are there any other things you wanted to chat about?
Nah, man, that's it. Recast T'Challa.
I want my T-shirt. Anyway, thanks guys for checking in. This has been another episode of The Correct Opinion. As usual, if you're new here and if you like this video, make sure you like. If you want to see more from us, subscribe. Make sure you subscribe to the movie blog. Make sure you go over to E-Man's movie reviews, subscribe to his channel, and we'll check you guys next time. Peace.